The following presentation is a gift from the team at Streamline Publishing, publishers of Fine Art Connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and weekly newsletters Fine Art Today, Realism Today, Plein Air Today, and American Watercolor, and events, the Plein Air Convention and the Figurative Art Convention. We offer over 400 different art instruction tutorials and ultra high-quality video by the world's leading artists. If you like what you see, help us support our artists and our team with your purchase. Each video aired has a special discount code for today only in the comments section with a link to the video offered. And to see everything we do, or if you want to receive notice of new releases, new products, and new events for artists, simply click the other link, which says, "See everything we do." Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric Rhodes, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air magazines. I love to get great artists together to film videos to capture their technique so that it lives on forever. Jean Perry is such a great painter. We met her up in Maine and we shot this video of painting a dramatic seascape. Enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Jean Perry. I'm a member of the Plein Air Painters of America. I'm from Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and every winter we run away to Tucson, Arizona, so I split my time half and half. It means I have 2 studios, 2 easels. I split my book collection between one studio and the other. Today we're going to talk more about composition than anything else and how to find it on location. There's so much interesting things going on. You sometimes get confused and you look and say maybe there's a beautiful barn, or over here is some horses and a lake. And the next thing you know, you have like a 3-ring circus because you've tried to put all of these things into one composition. I'm going to show you how to limit that. That's maybe 3 or 4 different paintings, different days to come out and do that. So we'll talk more about how to simplify. Shall we go paint? All right, we're all set up to paint now. I'd like to talk just briefly about my equipment, the open box M that I use. And I have these panels. They're Baltic birch with the linen glued on. They're better to go out in the field to paint with than the stretched canvas because sometimes you get the light coming through on a stretched canvas. So I use those. I have the lightest weight tripod I can find because usually it's all in a backpack and everything. It's got to be as light as I can get it. But you have to get a tripod that will hold at least 25-pound weight on the top. This is a Polaroid tripod, very lightweight, good. I'll talk a bit about my brushes. I've started using these Princeton 6300 brushes. It's a synthetic combination, filberts and brights, and they just seem to last better. I do scrub frequently on the canvas, so I like the durability of them. My palette, basically I have a warm and a cool of these colors, warm and a cool on the yellows. The reds, the cad red is my warm, and the alizarin crimson is my cool red. In the blues, I have ultramarine blue for the warm blue, cobalt for the cool blue. I have a sap green and a viridian for the warm and the cool on that. Today I've added transparent red oxide, which is kind of a fun color, good staining properties, and I'll mix it with yellow ochre and I'm going to make a wash. This is about helping me to find my composition. So the color is, I'm choosing, it's going to be a little grayed down. I'll add a little green, maybe some of the sap green to it, just to cut it just a little gray. And I'll add this liquid. I've got liquid on my palette box here because I'm traveling, and it's easier to put some liquid in and it'll dry a little faster. It's a good medium. The Turpenoid is the other that I use to clean my brushes at the end of the day. But mostly it'll be this liquid that I'll put on the canvas. I'm going to put a wash on the back of the canvas. Very light, warm wash. One of the reasons I do this, if I have just a painting on a plain white panel, when I come back in the studio, I'll find that there's these little holes where the paint hasn't covered entirely the canvas, and they're almost like little flashlights. So they're just too bright. They're very disturbing to me. So I like to put a light wash. Then if these little holes are left there, it's all the same color, and it creates a harmony throughout the whole painting. And I'm going to take a Kleenex and wipe this down a little bit. I want it to be a very light wash throughout the canvas. And I'm going to make a monochromatic sketch. Now there's all kinds of ways of finding your composition. One of them is to take a pencil drawing and do a complete drawing, but you don't have that much time when you're out on location. So I either recommend that you take your magic marker or a Sharpie and use the very, very brief sketch of what you see out there on location. You can change your composition, change whether it's going to be horizontal or vertical in the canvas. But I would like to try the wash with the monochromatic colors. So first I'm going to try to find where my horizon line is out there and think about what my subject matter is. Of course, all of these rocks out there, they're absolutely gorgeous. So I think in terms of masses rather than objects right now. I'm thinking that this is just a mass of color on the rocks here in the foreground. And then I'm going to lead into another shape in here of rock. And the advantage of doing this is at any time now, if I don't like what I have, I can go, and I just change it. Take the rag and just wipe it right off. So it's very, very flexible while I'm trying to find what I'm going to paint. So many times you go out on location and you see too many things. It becomes very confusing. So if I have this fluid sketch, I can change my mind and add and subtract at any point here. This is the time when you're using your left side of your brain. There's a quote by Edgar Payne that I don't think I can remember exactly, but it's something about the best ally of fine art is the fine art of thinking. In other words, I need to research and think about everything that is going on my canvas now, not while I'm in the midst of putting all the opaque paint on. So if I have water coming in here, some interesting rock shapes, more water coming down in here, breaking this up, it's like an abstract design. And when I was in college, I was doing abstracts, non-objective collages with tissue paper and crazy things. So I think it's helped me now that I'm doing traditional art to understand the abstract design of a good painting. Every good painting has a good abstract design. I'm not sure I'm going to put the coast in at the far side, but I'll put it in there for now while I think about it, and have the water coming into this area. So I just use this as a tool to help me find the composition. Once I've decided that I think this is going to work, then I might come in with a little bit darker color and start defining a little bit more of my picture. And I see some really nice rich darks right in here on the rocks. Comes down. And this rock in the foreground, I'm going to use it as to let the viewer know where you're standing when you're looking at this view. If I put the edge of the cliff, well, you might feel like you're going to fall off into the water, but I'll put this as kind of a footpath to come into the picture. So you see, I'm not saying to myself, these are rocks. These are still shapes and patterns. And the beautiful rocks make a great design out there with the crashing cliff. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And they go all the way off. And the advantage of all of this is that I can change it at any time. I can say, oh, I don't like that, and take it out. But so far, it's growing on me. I'm liking it. And I do think I'll put that far cliff in with some nice lines too. Once I've done all of that and decided on the composition, then I can go ahead and start mixing some good rich colors that I see down there in the shadows. And I'll still think in terms of balance and harmony. And I'll try to bring my shadows of the rocks in a harmonious, balanced form rather than just poking them in. Okay, we'll take a little bit smaller brush and mix some black. A good formula with my palette that I use to mix black is a ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and a sap green. And you can lean toward the green or lean toward the red, and in any case it'll make a nice rich black. And I see some very warm looking blacks under these rocks in the edge. Now let's find this black of that rock. And come out here. There's some real good black, and I think there's a little evergreen tree there. I might include that little tree coming in through there. And it's still a big abstract design, isn't it? I really haven't said this is trees or embankment or anything. But as I go along, I'll add as many strokes as I feel like is necessary to say this is an embankment in the far parts of my picture, and these are trees. And I certainly will try not to use any more strokes than I need. Another thing I'd like to say, hold the brush at the end of the brush handle, because this makes your arm do the strokes rather than if you do this and get in there like that, you're going to get undecisive little chicken scratches. And we want some expression. You're out here where the emotion is coming into the eyes, going into the brain, going down to the arm, onto the canvas. So don't stop it with this kind of stuff. Allow this emotion to come out with the strength of a brush stroke. I'm going to mix up some of the beautiful dark colors in the rocks, and I see some wonderful yellows and golds and a little bit of red down at the bottom, but I'm going to still keep treating it as a mass, and it's like a building a house. You have the foundation, it has to be strong, and then the beauty of the interior decorating comes last.
Streamline Premium Art Video presents Painting Dramatic Seascapes with Jean Perry. Painting the sea is one of the great challenges for any artist. Capturing the movement, the rapidly changing color, the atmosphere from the salt mist has challenged artists for generations. Join renowned plein air painter Jean Perry on location by the sea as she paints the rocky ocean coast. Watch how she creates a powerful composition and gives her painting the feel of the salt air, the sound of the seagulls as she makes the crashing waves come alive in this misty location. Now, you can grow as a painter as you watch Jean Perry create this seascape step by step, stroke by stroke. You'll learn how she creates mood, the feel of distance, and the sense of motion in the crashing waves, and the subtle color nuances that make it feel like the sea. Plus, you'll get to know the artist in her first in-depth on-camera interview to learn more about what inspires her and how she views the painting process. And you'll see an exhibit of her work, all part of the Plein Air Painters of America series, Painting Dramatic Seascapes with Jean Perry from Streamline Premium Art Video.
Well, that was Jean Perry's Creating a Dramatic Seascape, and you can learn more about the full video at lilyartvideo.com. Remember, there's a special discount code in the comments section. Now, we did an interview with Jean. I think you're going to enjoy it. Have fun. We're here with Jean Perry, and our goal tonight is to find out a little bit about what makes her tick. So I'd like to understand a little bit first before we get into your art career. Tell me a little bit about your life, what you're all about, where you came from.
I've had a journey in the art world as I started very young with art lessons and my love of art, and all through my grade school years, middle school years, high school, and that was my major in college, fine art. But it became a time when I was doing large abstracts, or collages with tissue paper and acrylic paint. A lot of fun, but at some point in my life I decided, I was raising 4 children, so I would paint and take classes and then have to clean up the mess so that they wouldn't get into it every evening. And I decided I would take it more seriously and make an investment of time in art. So that was about 1980 that I made that commitment.
And what was that transformation like? Were your kids grown at that
Fairly
point?
grown, yes. Yes, I still had one at home. I had 4 children. I still had the youngest one at home. And I started taking classes like workshops in other places. I would look in some of the art magazines and see who was doing a workshop that sounded good for me, and then go. I went to a Selamar, and Ted Gershner had a workshop, and I went to Sergei Bongart's workshops. And then I had a workshop with a man out of Wyoming named Mel Filler up, and he came to Steamboat Springs, is where I was living, and we painted outside. We painted outside on location, and we even had horses and wagons, and we painted all kinds of things, and that was my a real eye-opener, and I just loved it, loved every minute of it.
And was that the first time you painted outside?
Really was.
And I'm surprised
Not in
that
college.
I'm surprised that Sergey hadn't done that.
Oh, that was...
That came later?
Yes.
Okay.
That was like the next year that I took Sergey's.
And you went to Idaho for that?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
I was kind of lonely. I rented a basement apartment, and all the people seemed so much better than I. And he had where the better students went in and painted the model, and I was one of the beginner students, and I had the setups all in greens and one of them all in reds and so on, which is a good learning.
So when you say the setups, were you painting blocks or like Henry?
Well, still lifes.
Still lifes.
Yeah, he had a great big warehouse, kind of garage, barn, or whatever, and we painted still lifes. We went out on location one day, actually.
So what is it about art that has inspired you all along? What was there some art that you saw that stimulated this interest? Do you know where it comes from?
I don't know. I think it was my ability to draw, and became singled out by different teachers because I could seemingly draw better than somebody else in the class, and so the teachers would say, Jean will do the illustration for whatever, and that was an encouragement. It just went along with it. My mother did take us to the museums, so yes, a lot of wonderful artists. I can't single out any one at that age that inspired me.
What about now?
Now?
Yeah.
A living artist or deceased?
Well, let me ask you this question. If you could own any painting that's in any museum, price is no issue. What's the one painting that you would...
Tough question, because I already have an Edgar Payne.
Do you?
So, I'd like a bigger and better one, but no, I love his work. And Sorolla and Zorn. I mean, there's so many wonderful artists. I would love to have delicious oil painting in my living room.
So if you had an opportunity to sit down with Edgar Payne and ask him a couple of questions, what would they be?
I'd ask if I could watch him paint. I would love to see how he did that. And I know he researched his paintings very meticulously, so he probably would tell me to go out and research the subject and draw, and then go ahead and start painting. Because I think he went through all of those preliminaries so that he had the freedom to just slap the paint on.
I had a chance to talk to his daughter before she died, and I interviewed her for the magazine. We did a story on Edgar, one of the early issues of Plein Air magazine. Right. And that was a real treat, and I didn't realize what rare air it was until after she was gone.
Yeah,
so it
that's
was a
wonderful.
Neat opportunity.
How old was she then?
She was in her 90s.
Oh.
And so her big issue was that her mom never got the recognition as a painter that she deserved.
She was a good painter, but
not
nothing really like
No, of course.
Edgar was.
Yeah. And what about Sorolla or Zorn? Same thing. You want to watch them paint, of course.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, you look at the painting and you wonder how they did that. And it's just marvelous.
Well, I think we have the same feeling about you.
Oh, aren't you generous? Thank you.
So, the people who are watching this who might be trying to elevate themselves to another level or might perhaps be just starting out, what do you think are the important principles that they need to hear from you?
Well, one is I think that we're all competitive. Most good artists are a little competitive. And I would say direct that competitiveness toward getting better at your craft, getting better at painting all the time, instead of how many galleries you can join or how many paintings you sell in a certain show. That seems to be a competition with some people, and I think it's a great distraction for them if they think that I have to sell more paintings than so and so. Then they get stuck in trying to please somebody who might buy flowers, and so they paint flowers, whatever. But
Painting to the market instead of painting what really...
instead of saying, how can I get better? What can I do to make the next step up? That put your competition, your competitive feelings in that direction rather than how many galleries you can belong to.
What do you think are the drivers for getting better? Obviously it's brush time, but there are moments in your life as a painter when you suddenly take a leap. How do you get there?
You know, I don't even know how it happens, but it does happen. But I think there's so much talent out there, but it's the talent plus desire.
Yeah.
And if you've got the desire, and I don't even know why I have that desire, I don't. But if you got the two together, you will do it. If you don't, you can have great talent, but if you don't have the desire to put in the hours, so what?
So what's the one painting that you've always wanted to do that you've never done?
I don't know. I do think I would like to work more with portraiture, but I still love painting trees, so I'm torn. I probably won't get that many hours in painting portraits.
Well, you're doing portraits of trees.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what Nikolai Dubovik, who's a Russian master friend of mine, talked to me about when we went out.
He saw that article.
We're doing portraits of trees.
I saw that article. What a interesting person he must have been.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, what would you like people to say about you in 100 years?
I keep thinking, we asked ourselves that very same question one time. I was with a bunch of plein air painters and we were driving. We'd been in the interior of Catalina, and you drive through these roads at night, and we're talking. And one of them said, I want to have it say, I ran fast and jumped high, like that tennis shoe thing. And I thought that was pretty good. She ran fast and jumped high.
That was good.
Yeah.
What is something that perhaps when we're trying to look back on your career and we're trying to understand you in the future, what is something that we would otherwise never find out about you that only you know that you could share?
Oh, Eric, I don't think that I'm pretty open about everything. I've had an interesting life as far as widowed at a fairly young age with 4 little children.
How young?
I was 32.
Oh my.
And found time to raise my children, and then found time to do my art. So I guess there's a right time to do what you want to do.
Well, I would imagine something like that really makes you appreciate what you have and really makes you appreciate your life and
yes,
what you go through.
There's an interesting question too about there are child prodigies in music and so on. I don't think there are in art. I think you see some gallery that might promote a young person and say that they're a prodigy, but I don't believe it. But I think you have to experience life, and then you can interpret it into your paintings and the emotions and the feelings. So it's good. It helps you become a better artist.
Well, thank you for your time tonight. This was very insightful.
Thank you,
Brief,
Eric.
but insightful.
Thank you.
Well, that was Jean Perry and Painting Dramatic Seascapes. To learn more about the full video, go to lilyartvideo.com. And remember, there's a special discount code for you today only in the comments section. Hope you're having fun with this. Thank you for watching.
Streamline Premium Art Video presents Painting Dramatic Seascapes with Gene Perry. Painting the sea is one of the great challenges for any artist. Capturing the movement, the rapidly changing color, the atmosphere from the salt mist has challenged artists for generations. Join renowned plein air painter Gene Perry on location by the sea as she paints the rocky ocean coast. Watch how she creates a powerful composition and gives her painting the feel of the salt air, the sound of the seagulls, as she makes the crashing waves come alive in this misty location. Now, you can grow as a painter as you watch Gene Perry create this seascape step by step, stroke by stroke. You'll learn how she creates mood, the feel of distance, and the sense of motion in the crashing waves, and the subtle color nuances that make it feel like the sea. Plus, you'll get to know the artist in her first in-depth on-camera interview to learn more about what inspires her and how she views the painting process. And you'll see an exhibit of her work, all part of the Plein Air Painters of America series, Painting Dramatic Seascapes with Gene Perry from Streamline Premium Art Video.